Welcome back to Maine Tiny Homestead. I'm squinting because the sun is actually out and I haven't seen it in so long. I need sunglasses. Today we're just going to do a quick garden tour and I'll show you how everything's doing. As we come down the stairs off the porch, here's what our backyard garden looks like on our little tiny homestead. I do have some flowers in hanging pots right here, actually just on stands, just to bring some pollinators over. I don't have a lot of flowers in my garden, or at least not enough. So let's start over here in the first bed. This is the herb bed that half of it has perennial herbs and the back half has got onions in it this year. This is my chive plant. And if you watched one of my other videos, I made chive blossom vinegar, and these I left on, so those have to be cut down. This is actually asparagus. Let me show you how tall it is. I'm letting the ferns grow out because we're only on the second year with it, and next year we'll start harvesting it. So this will be the last year I let it go all the way like this, and then next year I'll be able to eat all the stalks. This is my lemon balm plant, and I had already just cut this back, so this is recovering from being cut right now. Here's the chamomile patch. Got to come out and pick a few more of these before it starts raining again. Yeah, because that is coming later today. I have a basil nestled right in here with a small lavender plant. And then on this side, these are the onions. Remember, these are the ones I planted from seed, and they took so long to grow. They're actually doing awesome. I didn't even think they would get this big, so we still have a long ways to go, but so far so good. All right, so let's do bed number 2. This is the blueberry bed, and in the very front I leave a little bit open so I can add a couple of pollinators in here. I got some flowers, and then I did need to add a tomato somewhere, so I just threw one in there. See how that will do. But this is the blueberry bed, and instead of using the black netting, like bird netting that you can get at the hardware store, I saw someone use tulle, and it's a lot less expensive, that's for sure. I got a roll of 40 yards, which is, I can't remember if it was 20 feet wide or 10 feet wide by 40 yards. It's plenty. I still have half the roll after I did this whole bed here. And it was only $8, so it was such a deal. But it actually it doesn't allow them to get in at all. The only thing that's happened is there's been a couple of moth and things that might get caught in it, but what I've seen, I've let go. So far, so good. But the blueberries are really just starting to change color. Look how many we have this year. This is like our biggest harvest so far. Never had this many blueberries. I did a quick count, and I think there might be 400 to 500. And I have only 3 plants in bloom. Let me see if I can sneak under here for you. You can see them better. And you can really see how many there is. So, real happy with what we have for production this year. Okay, let's go to bed number 3. This one is the garlic bed. There's garlic in half of it. And I have 2 rows of onions, one on each side here, and then one of carrots right down the middle. So we've already thinned out the carrots, and now I'm just letting these things grow. And these onions are actually doing pretty good too. They don't look quite as big as the ones in the other bed, but some over here are getting pretty good, huh? I'm pretty impressed. How about you? And then I pulled up a couple of garlics just to check them. It's just been so rainy here, and I don't want them to get waterlogged. So I wanted to check a couple and see, because it's supposed to pour again tomorrow, like another 2 inches. I hope there's not much more coming next week, because maybe I'll have to pull these early just in case. But usually I'd let these go another 2 weeks before I'd even think about pulling them. Last week in July or first week in August. This is the first of the new bed that we put in this year. This is, I have tomatoes, basil, and beans in this one. So out front, actually, these are the tomatoes that we grew from seed. These were the seeds that I just sliced and put in a pot and threw underneath the oil tank for the whole winter. And then I brought them out in the spring and they all sprouted. And then these I planted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of them here, and I gave a bunch to my mother as well. So they're doing crazy. I have a lot of blossoms on them, but these are indeterminate, so they'll keep growing if you don't cut them back. And last year I had them break in half. They were so big. I had only 2 of them in one of my raised beds, and I didn't cut them back at all, and they just grew over into each other across the whole bed, and then eventually fell over and just ruined everything. So I wasn't going to do that again this year. So that's that. I have 1 tomato here in a pot. It's the only one I have in a pot this year. All the rest are in a bed. And then here's what I just did this morning. I had this last raised bed that half of it was already filled with debris from the yard, rotten wood, etc. And then we went and got some peat moss, some compost, some soil, vermiculite, and perlite. Added my trifecta, and then here we are. So what I've done is planted in here, I have 3 rows of beans and a row of potatoes. So we'll see how those do. And then I had a little bit of extra soil when I filled this thing, so I put 2 in buckets, and I'm going to have more beans in those. So that's our little garden tour today. We're in the middle of July, and we're in Zone 4 in Maine. Thanks again for watching Maine Tiny Homestead.